Free higher education has been a topic of debate in the U.S. since President Harry Truman commissioned a report in 1947 recommending federal funding to place educational opportunities on an equal playing field. History shows that numerous public colleges and universities in the U.S. already had tuition free or low cost programs for in state students. However, the costs associated with these institutions have been rising due to changes in the economy and increased enrollment. The discussion of free higher education ebbed and flowed over the decades, but gained momentum again in 2015. Today, we'd like to compare the pros and cons of free higher education in the U.S. I'm Laura.
And Jesse?
I'm Chesh.
And I'm the Jericho.
And this is Reconfiguring Reality. Pros and cons of free higher education. Go.
Well,
Let's start with pros.
Pros?
Yes, ma'am.
Hold on.
Slim
well,
pickings.
one, the funny thing is you mentioned that enrollment. Actually, there has been a 15% decline in the last decade of college enrollment, and financial is most of the reason why people have been choosing not to go to college.
I almost didn't go to college because of the enrollment and all of the student loan related fees and loans and shit.
I mean, I told my kids not to go to college, but anyway. Okay, but yeah.
But so there's benefits to society and the economy where free tuition can encourage more people to get the credentials needed for jobs in high demand sectors like healthcare and technology. You have improved equity, you have economic growth,
Increased access
benefits
to classes.
Yep, the benefits for the individual is part of the reason why is kids don't want to sit there and have 60, 70, $100,000 in debt, and then you sit there and then all of a sudden it's, oh, but you also need 2-3 years of experience to start this job, or they're sitting there and they're sitting there and it's like, well, I'm paying $500-$600 in just college payback, then I'm living with my parents, but then people are saying, oh, well, these people aren't they're living in mommy and daddy's basement. Well, they can't get paid enough to live on their own. And considering the fact that there's an easy way to make it so people do not have to sit there and worry about college, is you just raise taxes on the 1% to the people who make millions upon millions of dollars and have all these tax credits and have these ways of skirting around taxes.
But raising the taxes on that 1%, does that not also raise the tax on everybody else?
No, if so there's tax brackets based on your income. If you sit there and say that someone who makes over $400,000 a year has to pay this much in taxes, and then let's say the tax bracket is from 400,000 to 750,000, then there's another tax bracket of $750,001 to, let's say, 1.5 million. There's different brackets of taxing. So like you're in one specific tax bracket while, let's say, Chesh is in a different one because she makes less or more money. Let's say I'm in a different tax bracket. I pay, let's say, I don't even know what my tax bracket is, but it's one of those things where there's different tax brackets. So you pay, let's say, 13% taxes based off of your income, where let's say Jericho makes 150,000 a year. I'm just throwing a number out there, and he pays 21% of his income. So it varies.
Okay.
I will
So there's
say, oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying there's different tax brackets. So the 1% of people like Zuckerberg, Musk, these people who have way more money than they will ever have to spend in their life, but yet people don't want to raise taxes on these people from the government, is because they're benefactors. Oh, well, if I raise the taxes on them, they're not going to give me money to run for election.
So I will tell you that it's a lovely idea, but it's not a practical one. And without getting into the minutia of like, is it right to take someone's money when they've earned it and all this kind of stuff? Like, just the basic reality is most people who are in that 1%, they don't have a lot of liquid cash. Like, we like to think of them as like Scrooge McDuck, like they just got a big pile of money somewhere or a big bank account full of money. And the way they're able to skirt stuff isn't actually like they're being sneaky. That's the funny part. A lot of people think they have all these shady dealings, and it's really not. The way our government set things up is anybody can take advantage of the same um, tax breaks they do. We just don't have enough money to actually take advantage of it. We just simply don't make enough on the average income that you could really benefit from doing the things they do. For example, one way rich people get around paying taxes is to not have a taxable income. So how do you do that? Well, if all your money is tied up in your businesses, then your business is not you. It pays its own taxes and has its own things. So what a rich person will do is, let's say Elon Musk, right? He wants to borrow $100 million for a new project. Instead of pulling it out of his companies and saying, now I have $100 million in my bank account, which can then be taxed, he'll go to a bank and say, I want this new project. I want to take a loan of $100 million. And they go, well, you're worth like $64 billion. We know you're not going to not, fail to pay us back. Sure, here's your loan. And they know they're going to make money on the interest they charge him, but some loans they can get, they don't even make them charge interest. They just want more loans and more business from them. And that's how they end up looking at it. So they're not worried about calling back on that money. Now, once they get that loan of 100 million or whatever imaginary number, they go for,
Mm-hmm.
that money's tax free because they didn't earn that money. They're borrowing it. So there's nothing to tax. Now they can tax on what they buy with it. They have to pay sales tax and other stuff like that, but they don't have to pay a tax at the end of the year like, oh, you gained $100 million, Elon Musk, so the IRS is gonna come after you. And they do stuff like that. But the thing is, the average person, the bank isn't going to give you a loan with a really low interest rate, and they're certainly not going to give you a loan that and just don't care if you pay it back in any short amount of time, right? So we can't take advantage of that because we simply don't have the capital to.
Yeah.
And that's how they get around that. So even if you charge Elon Musk an extra 10% a year on tax for him, it's never going to do anything because he's not going to get taxed. You'd have to raise property tax or something like that. And that gets into a sticky situation because why does one person get a higher property tax than another person? And the other thing is when
Well,
you have all your assets tied up in business, your net worth is not the same thing as your income. So when you look at taxes that have to be paid on that stuff, you have to own things. So they'll make companies and shell companies where the company owns everything, you own nothing. So on
yeah.
paper, you're broke, but you have a yacht and a jet and whatever because the company has a yacht and a jet that you use and pay for or whatever. You know what I mean? So that's how you get those differences and how you get around that. Um, And the reason they get a lot of pushback isn't just the 1%, it's the fact that rich people who aren't billionaires, but maybe like, let's say, millionaires, like celebrities and
Mm-hmm.
things, they get hit with those kind of increases. So they're very opposed to it happening as much as the big people don't want to pay either, because if they take a 1% hit, that's a huge amount of money. Like you've heard, I don't, if you look at celebrities. How many times have we heard over the last like 20 years that some celebrity took a bath and sold three of their $16 million mansions because, taxes went up and they don't have the money to pay for it anymore.
Well, we don't get the our taxes go up and we don't get a say in it.
I
Our
mean, we do. It's just never, no one's going to vote for it. No one's going to try to stop tax increases because when we do, the less privileged, let's call us that, right? We see the
Mhm.
ramifications of budget cutting. Education, roadways don't get repaired, people go on strike, government shutdowns, right? Rich people don't really give a shit about that
No, they
because
don't.
they still have money, they still have assets. But like, okay, for example, electronics have skyrocketed, right? Xbox has increased, for example, its cost for like 5-year-old technology, and it's going through the roof. And everybody's like, why do you guys keep doing this? Well, because all these big tech companies are opening up data centers all over the country,
Yeah,
hogging
like
up mass amounts of,
Zuckerberg. Yeah,
yeah,
Zuckerberg's opening one in Minnesota.
exactly. But the worst part about that is it's twofold. The area, they claim that they're bringing all these jobs, but they only bring like 400 jobs, and all of them are remote. So even the people that live there aren't necessarily getting those jobs. Then on
Well,
top of that,
it's just a what was it? A data sets. It wasn't even like something. It's just for a whole bunch of servers.
yeah, and that's the reason all of our electronics are costing through the roof now, is and why we have a RAM shortage right now, is because all the data centers are sucking up all the RAM. We can't meet the demand for them and for the populace. So we're all getting shafted, right? And then on top
Hmm.
of it, people who where those data centers are built, all their electricity bills are going through the roof because they're sucking up all the electricity, which means the state has to produce more, which means everybody's cost goes up. That's also
Yeah.
where this new initiative with all these electric companies and utility companies are putting in all these smart meters so that they can farm your data and have real time things and all this stuff.
Mm.
So a lot of people, but they can mess with the numbers. They could just decide to charge you more, or based on these phantom criterias. So a lot of people are like, no, I'm refusing to keep your stupid smart meter out of here. And they go, okay, well, if you don't take the smart meter, we have to pay an extra $14 a month. They go, gladly. I don't need your smart meter connecting and telling my data to people and whatever else. So, but I digress. But yeah,
But no, it's
I think it'd be
the
great if
thing
we could do
is
that. I just know it's not going to do anything.
well, and I'm trying to figure out why it's what one thing is I believe, and this is just my opinion, is that the more people are educated, the harder it is for the government to control them and make them to lie about why they're doing things or what things are happening and
We need to get a
do
soundboard so I can do like the cheering noises in the crowd and stuff. Because I'm 100% behind you on that. The leading thing governments the world over have always done, and not just normal governments, but we're talking about like patriarchies and matriarchies
all
and
governments
noble
fear
societies,
education.
all of them keep them dumb and poor. And that's it. That's all you have to do. And even Rome was like all about its citizens being great, but they knew how to distract people and make them
Yeah.
not see what was going on, right? And so I agree that education has to be paramount. And the problem is the education across the board, not just in America, but America, as obviously we're suffering from it. The quality has drastically decreased in the quality of education you get, including in universities. But the tuition and the expense of it has increased exponentially. So you're
Yes.
paying more and getting less. And
Well, it's
even
not even just the cost of tuition. You have like these colleges that are for profit, or you have these colleges that say, "Oh, well, we have job placement with at this percentage and everything," and it's all a lie. So you have people who are literally going to online colleges that are getting passing grades and stuff in a, like a 4-week class or in the short period of time classes like, I'll admit it, I went to one of those colleges and I would literally write a paper in 2 hours and I'd get an A on it. I mean, I'm good at doing my research, but I am not that good at doing my research.
Well, I think the thing is too is at the fundamental level, college is not what it used to be. So
Mhm.
like people have the wrong idea of what a college is and what it was. So in the past, a college was just a center of higher learning. But really that didn't mean you went and decided, I want to be a doctor. You would go to a place that people were studying everything. There wasn't a science department necessarily. There wasn't all these kind of things. They were just a place where you would go to be educated and well-rounded education. So you would learn history, mathematics, science, literature. You would learn a little bit of everything, kind of like high school, but more fleshed out. Remember, because when colleges and universities were a thing, when they were being developed and growing, back then, um, your traditional schooling was not like a 12-year school. You'd go to school, learn your basic stuff, and that was it. You had a very small education.
Yep.
Most people didn't even know how to read, right? So college was seen as higher learning, but it was never like this is to train you to get a job. It was just because you wanted to go and learn things, or you had a very specific job that required higher levels of education. Over time, all universities and colleges became for profit. Now, they claim that's not what it's for, but whether they want new equipment, whether they want new buildings, whatever, they're all striving for money. And so then you started getting into a fact of you couldn't just get a degree. Now the criteria to get a degree came with all these hoops and ladders that are just for money gouging. For example, when I got my 2 degrees, right? I
Mhm.
qualified for 12 degrees with everything I went through, but I wasn't allowed to have 12 degrees. I only got 2. But I was going for business administration and finance, and I had a host of things I could have gotten. And I could have just decided, nah, I don't want that, and picked a completely different degree to graduate with. But because my classes met all these criterias, that's why I had this huge selection. However, I if I wanted to get a second or third or fourth or fifth degree, I had to take a bunch of useless classes to fill out credits that I don't need. And my question to them when I was graduating was, why can't I have these other degrees? And they go, oh, well, you have to have so many credits per degree. And I go, but why? If I've now qualified for 8 degrees, why then I should get 8 degrees?
It's because they want money.
Exactly. And that becomes the
My
problem.
Yeah, my college did pretty much the same thing. Like before I started my specific program for what I do now, it was take these gen ed or your prerequisites, which obviously you pay for. Then you take your program, and we have like a bachelor's program. And just like you said, Jericho, because our director of said program was talking to other students, and they're like, okay, well, you need to take all of these classes, including like a statistics class, just to go ahead and get like a bachelor's in radiologic science. And a lot of us looked at her and went, what the heck does statistics have to do with what we're trying to get in regards to our bachelor's? And she's like, I don't know. It's just a class that the college is requiring you to take so that you can get the credits to go into the bachelor's program.
Mm.
Well, it's just like I'm going back to school,
Mm-hmm.
and
Are you?
I was, yeah, I
I didn't
I
know
have
that.
to, yeah, I have to go take my placement tests just to see where I'm at, and like, call in reading and math. And then I'm going through and looking because I'm just doing addiction counseling, which is something I've wanted to do for forever. And I'm sitting there and I'm going through these courses because I'm just getting my associates. I'm not getting a bachelor's or anything. But I'm going through all these courses and I'm looking at them. I was like, what? I could understand statistics for it, but it's like you need to take statistics or this other class. Okay, cool. I can take this other class maybe. But that's if my placement sets me there. But then it's like, you need this class and you need that class and you need this class and you need that class. And I'm just sitting there, I was like, well, why do I need that class though? Like why do I need to take an arts class for this to fill some requirement that you guys are saying I need to take, even though I'm not going into anything for art.
Yeah.
Like, there are certain classes that I'm looking at that are required for my degree, and I was like, but it's not required for what I'm actually going to be doing for a frickin' job. Like, unless I plan on like teaching
I had to
art
take
therapy or something.
Yeah, I had to take a public speaking class, and as our listeners know, I am now a licensed like rad tech. So sitting there and being like, okay, well, I'm going into this. Why do I need to sit here and take like a public speaking class or like an English
Why did I
class?
have
You
to
know what I
take
mean?
public
It's like I'm not
speaking to become an engineer?
exactly.
Well,
It's like,
okay,
why
so
am I taking in
in
public
defense of the
speaking?
public speaking, is it also helps you if you have like social anxiety and learning to talk to people,
Mm-hmm.
which is part of both an engineering degree, because I'm assuming you're gonna have to talk to people. But I think that should just be a requirement if you know you struggle in that aspect, like I do.
Yeah.
So I
So
can
like
tell you
I
why they have those
read.
useless classes. That's
Hmm.
what they use to, they point back to the early days of colleges when, again, the idea was to give you a well-rounded education so that you
Mm-hmm.
could learn a little about a lot. And then they perverted it to saying, well, when people get out of high school, they have no idea what they're doing. They're completely lost, which is true for some people. And they said by giving them this smorgasbord of knowledge, they can fall into something that they're interested in, right? Maybe they're pushed and they're like, I want to be a doctor, but then they really fall in love with anthropology, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they claim to be it. But again, it's not. It's a total smokescreen.
But
It's why
it
trade
seems to
schools have
be,
existed, is because if you want to be a radio technology tech or whatever, you go and you just learn that. You don't jump through 45 hoops of nonsense if you're just trying to do that, right?
yeah.
And that's how
Like what
colleges
I've
get you.
noticed is they seem to, for people who are just getting into college, whether you've been away for a long time or you're just getting out of high school, they seem to just have the basics, like you need to take English, you need to do some sort of math, you need to do, public speaking. Like they have the criteria, so to speak, for like you just got out of high school, here's the continuation of your high school classes, even though you just took English and you pass English just fine. That's kind of how I viewed them, was like, okay, I did all of this in high school. Why am I retaking an English class? I chose to retake like my what was it? My psychology class, I think it was, because I had to have like a certain GPA to get into my program.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was just like, oh yeah, you're gonna retake English. English pass, passing that in a breeze because I liked English. The only class that I think was anywhere close to what I needed for my program was human anatomy and physiology. And even with that class, like our director and our teachers learned that they didn't really teach us human anatomy. It was mainly just focused on physiology, which then put it on them to start teaching us human anatomy, which they should have been doing to begin with. So it's just a lot to me, like the gen eds are just a lot of useless classes when you could just go in and pay for your program and do it.
Well, to a point, like I can understand like needing some math classes for some jobs. Like they want me to take a statistics class, or it said as long as it meets this specific requirement. And for me, I have really bad, like, so like I'm not really freaking out, but like I know stuff, but I have really bad test anxiety. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, that's one thing where it's like, great, now I have to sit there and try and do well and not look like an idiot if I don't do well on this placement. But it's one of those things where I know in the long run it's going to be worth it because it's going to benefit me financially later on. It's going to benefit my family and everything because of the fact that I'll be able to not make a lot more money than even what I was when I was working for my old company. It's really not that much of a pay raise, but for
Mhm.
me, it's more,
It means more to you.
it means I feel like I'm going to be
Fulfilling.
actually making something, like doing something worth it. And that's one thing is a lot of people go into that kind of those kind of careers or go to college is because society is like, oh well, if you go into college you're going to make more money, and not necessarily. Because if you're not, I believe if you're not interested in what you're learning, you're not going to actually put the effort into it. And part of that is proven is in high school. I took classes, and the ones I had no interest in, I just didn't do my homework. I didn't care. But in the long run, it part of the reason why I believe everybody should have the right and financial freedom to be able to have a higher education is because, I guess I shouldn't say right, because it's not a right. Is it a right? I don't fucking.
I think it's a privilege.
Yeah, I was thinking privilege or opportunity
Yeah,
to a
everybody
higher
should have the
education.
opportunity in order to better their life, because not everybody can have that opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
because everybody's still like, oh well, financial aid and scholarships and this and that. Well, some scholarships you have to have this, that, and other things. Some scholarships are only for certain types of people, like, and they're so limited that you may be going up against, let's say, 1,000 people to get this one scholarship. But then you have work programs. Like some colleges offer work programs where you can work and your paycheck goes towards your tuition.
I want to touch on
Mm.
some of the cons that I found. Um,
Okay.
you already had mentioned the taxing, like raising the taxes, which people obviously see as a con. Overcrowding is one. Quality concerns and reduced motivation was actually listed on that. Apparently, if it's given to you for free, you're not as motivated. I have no idea. And
That sounds like a talking point of bullshit, in my opinion. Because
Only
if I
thing
wouldn't
is
have to, if it, I'm sorry, if I wouldn't have had to sit there and worry about paying for college right out of high school and never really like being taught anything, I probably actually would have stayed in college right out of high school.
but I think that they're looking at it as if you have to pay a lot for it, you're going to be more motivated to finish it so that you're not wasting money.
I agree and I disagree. So I agree with both you and Jesse, Laura, and I also disagree with it slightly because it's like it was a very hard thing for me to sit there because I had literally sick, you know, like I'm sick and tired of nannying, I'm sick and tired of taking care of other people's kids. I had to swallow a lot of the fact that if college would have been like free for me, I would have been in there right then and there, trying to figure out a program for myself to do. So going into it and knowing like, okay, I have to take this loan and get this grant and do this and do that. I don't think it motivated me anymore for the fact that I have to pay for it. Because here's the thing is even if I didn't finish my program, I still have student loans to pay back,
Right.
whether I'm working in the field I want to work in or not. But
Yep.
having it be free, because we know I had to like repeat one of my classes and I had to pay for that class again. So if I had the opportunity for it
Paid
to
for
be
calculus 3
free,
times.
yeah. If like I said, if it could be the opportunity of, okay, it's not a big deal, you failed the class, you'll retake the class, you'll move forward, and you don't have to pay for it, I would have felt so much relief than, okay, well, we had to pause all of my stuff, get it all back up and running once the class came back around, work my ass off to try to finish and make it through that class. And I'm still sat here having, I haven't, I have like what, 6 months or so until I start paying back my loans. And in all
It all
honesty,
depends.
well, that's what I chose is it gives me 6 months to like get as much money and I can to start shoveling it towards them. But to me, like that's hard money that I have earned and would like to be keeping and putting towards my life to do, like as Jesse said, and get out of my parents' house and actually start a life for myself rather than paying the people who decided that I had good enough credit to give me a loan so I could go to school.
The last con that was on that list was degree devaluation.
What evaluation?
Degree
Degree devaluation. So
devaluation.
pretty
So
much what it's saying
the
is
degrees
bullshit.
aren't as special as they used to be. If you do it
Yeah, no, I got
It's
you.
a
I
fucking
understand what you
piece
said.
of paper.
right,
It
but
is a
that
piece of paper,
makes
but
it
I was
harder to
proud of
get
my piece of paper.
it makes it harder to get a job in a specialized field if
Hmm.
everybody has access to the education.
I agree.
Is what they're
Well,
Um,
saying. I
technically,
think
everybody does have access to the education. It just depends on
if you can pay for it or not.
how much debt they want to be in afterwards.
hmm Well, my director would always say in regards to like our registry, she's like, you can pass this program, but if you don't pass your registry, you just have a degree that you can't do anything with. And how
Yeah.
many people do you think have a degree in something that they don't touch at all in their lives?
I have 2 degrees that I don't use.
Yep. And
2
I'm sure
college
you had to
degrees that I
pay
do
student
not use.
loans on those.
Yes. So, we're gonna move on a little bit because time is of the essence. But did you know that there's no U.S. state that offers completely free higher education for anyone? Or I'm sorry,
Yeah.
for
Hmm.
everyone.
That doesn't surprise me.
Did you know that there are states that have free community college for their residents?
Hmm.
Which states would that be? I need to move
Arkansas,
there.
Not Florida.
Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut,
Sorry.
Delaware, Hawaii, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Minnesota.
What? Because that's a fucking lie. I'm going to community college and I've lived here almost my whole entire life. That's
um,
some
You said that
bullshit.
really fast.
Montana, Michigan, Mississippi, Maryland, Nevada, New York,
Oh my
Oklahoma,
God.
Oregon, Rhode Island, Tennessee, and Washington.
I was gonna say, just sing the song at this point.
That's not all
No.
50. I mean,
No.
I know it's not all
Florida's
50,
not
but
on there.
it was
Pennsylvania's
getting
not on.
there. That's a good
West
amount.
Virginia and Virginia aren't on there. Uh, Missouri's not
Listen,
on
I just know I
there.
called it for Florida. So
But
Florida
yeah,
will make
it
you pay
says
for anything in
Minnesota has
addition.
it. And of
We
course,
Jesse, maybe we need to look into it for you.
No
they have
shit.
promise programs in some college and universities have
She's mad
promise
now.
programs. Do you know what promise programs are?
No.
No, what
I
are those?
I think they're a complete waste of time. They're scholarships. They're scholarships. Yeah, they offer free tuition and fees, like for eligible students. Do you know how hard it is to get a scholarship?
Yeah, I've been looking.
Yeah, yeah. I was told that I would be able to get a scholarship for being a twin when I applied for college,
Hmm.
and for
Bro,
being
I
under five
barely
foot
touched
tall.
What?
I barely touched any of my scholarship related stuff. They were like, "You're so close, but not close enough."
Uh-huh. I was told also that my son would be able to get a scholarship for being a left-handed person.
That's interesting.
That's such
Yeah.
a specific scholarship.
Yep.
They have scholarships for like, and this probably isn't the right choice of words, and we can figure that out later. But like, they have scholarships for like the weirdest and unique stuff of like being, under 5 foot or being left-handed. I'm like, why? Like,
Yeah.
I know it's rare, but I don't think it's that rare.
For being a twin.
Yeah,
Yep.
I
Yeah.
just, I don't
Very
know.
weird.
It seems weird to me because like we were going through the list in regards to what I could apply for, and there were so many things that like I pretty much was a hair off from meeting like the requirements.
Jess, is there a scholarship for being a single mom?
I've found them, but being trying to sit there and get scholarships like that, I've tried it for years to get
Yeah.
scholarships like that, and it just
Mhm.
it never is panned out.
Gotcha. Okay. I was gonna say something and now I completely forget. Oh, I was gonna say if higher education was free, I would still be in college.
I probably would have gone for my bachelor's.
I have a bachelor's.
I
I just want to learn. I want to change my
Girl, get
field
that
again.
doctorate.
I want to learn
Get your
so many
doctorate.
things.
well, and,
Like,
and that's part of the reason why, like, so for my degree, for what I'm going for, they offer just like a certificate, which works just as well as an
a degree.
associate's
Uh-huh.
as a degree, but I figured, well, who's to say I don't want to go back?
And get your master's.
But that's the thing is like you have people that, my dad is like a jack of all trades kind of guy. And I'm sure if he had the opportunity, he would continue to go back, to school and, learn the new technology because he works in IT,
Mm,
like,
right.
learning what they're learning for IT and keeping up on it so that he's still able to do everything that he can for the clients that he works
And
with.
honestly, I think people in the IT field should be offered programs to do that to stay up to date with all of that.
If I was not so intimidated by my horrible GPA that I had during high school, because, well, I kind of fell through the cracks and didn't have the best home life. But I, as most everybody knows, I am a huge paleontology buff. It sucks because I am so obsessed with dinosaurs that I don't really need a fucking degree
The
to tell you
amount
about stuff.
of dinosaur content I get on my TikTok now because of you. The same with the
But
penguins. And I'm like,
yeah,
you know what? Fuck it, full send.
but for me, it's one of those things where I was so intimidated by the fact that first you need to get a geology degree. Then after your
Hmm.
geology degree, then you can get a master's in paleontology and then a doctorate in paleontology. It was very intimidating because I'm looking and I was like, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
so when I finally was going to like suck it up and do it, I was married with a child, and some people say my dad gave me bad advice. Um, where I should stay home because my ex-husband was in the military and my child needed at least one stable parent who was always going to be home, because I would not want to sit there and only teach paleontology. I'd want to go on digs and use my degree to the fullest,
Right.
because I paid for the damn thing. Might as well get the entertainment out of it and
Yeah.
dig something up.
Yep.
Well, and that's why I like what my director said about like if you pass your program, great, you have a degree you can't fucking use. Pass your registry, now you have a degree that you can use to its full
Yeah,
extent.
and that's the thing with mine is, for me, I can get my degree, but if I can't pass the state testing in order to qualify, but not only that, then do I have to do so many hours being supervised, then so many hours unsupervised and stuff like that. And yeah, you still get paid, but you're not making all that much. You're not making as much as you would in another degree where you don't have to do a state test, and then if you don't pass the state test, all you're paying for a fucking piece of paper that you can't use.
Yep.
Well, do you know why I ended up not getting a job in architecture?
Why?
Or not architecture, I'm so sorry. Why I didn't end up getting a job in engineering was because I was pregnant when I graduated college, so I couldn't take an unpaid internship,
Yeah.
which is
Mhm.
what I
Could
needed
you
to
go
get ahead in
back?
the career. Could I go back after having the baby?
Well, no, can you, like, now?
Oh, I'm sure so much has changed.
Yeah, I mean your credits might be still good. You'd have to see.
I mean, now that I don't
But no,
have babies to
it's,
raise,
yeah.
Mhm.
I might be too old for that field now. Who knows?
That's what I thought, and I said, fuck it, who cares?
Any other thoughts on the topic?
I just think it would benefit society more.
I
But
guess
that's
some
just
part of
me.
me agrees that like we should pay for college, but if I feel like if you want to go back to college, it should be free. You know what I mean? Like a subscription fee or some shit like that. Like you pay one time and there you go. I don't fucking know. I like the idea of, you pay, you get your education, and then you're able to go back and not have to pay. But, if you wanted to further your education, like for me, if I wanted to get my bachelor's, just being like, hey, I want to get my bachelor's and not have to pay for anything besides maybe books.
Well,
You know what I mean?
there are some countries where not everything is free.
Mm-hmm.
The students still have to pay living costs. They still have to do that kind of stuff,
But
but
you're understanding what I'm saying is like you pay for what you're initially wanting. Like I originally wanted to
yeah.
be a physical therapy assistant. You know, I went to my community college to get that rolling and then ended up in a university doing something completely different. Yes, my
Mm-hmm.
credits rolled over, which was fine, but like being able to go, oh, you've already like started in college or whatever, and you're coming back, you don't have to pay, just pick what you want to take and take it.
Yeah.
I think that would take a lot of the fear away from kids who aren't 100% like, I don't know what I want to do, but I know I need to go to college to do something, I don't know, like becoming a doctor or an astronaut or something science. Kids
Yeah.
like, I want to be a scientist, but I have to go to college to be able to be a scientist. I don't know what kind of scientist I want to be yet, but it at least allows them to get the general education classes done, and then you specialize and you won't have to pay for the specialization.
Well, I took 4 years to get an associate's degree, which is a 2 year degree, because I knew I wanted to do something in engineering. So I went non specific for 2 years, did all my
Hmm.
gen courses, and then I had to decide what courses I wanted to take for my last 2 years, um, like to focus on the degree that I wanted to get. But I had all my gen eds out of the way by then.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I paid for 2 extra years of college for an associate's degree.
Which is completely fine.
Well,
I
an
mean, to me,
associate's
that's
degree
not,
is just
it
two
takes what it
years.
takes.
Yep. I paid 4 years for a 2 year degree.
Yeah.
Yep. But I think that's going to be it for today's podcast.
Like, subscribe, comment, share.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.